Old cameras usually only become cheaper with time, but that doesn't go for all of them. This one specifically has jumped from 250 to 400 euros since I've bought it in 2022. Now, you might argue that prices have gone up in general over the last few years, but when I compared this camera to the ones that I was considering buying back then, I figured that this was the only one that actually increased. The others have all either stayed the same or decreased in price. But why is it then that this camera has gotten so much more expensive over the last few years? Well, it's hard to tell, but my best guess is that many YouTubers have bought it somewhere between 2022 and 2024 and realized how good the camera actually was for the price, which of course drove up its popularity a lot. But what makes this camera so good? First of all, it's small, it is sturdy, and it is weather sealed, which makes it just perfect for travel and street photography. And another nice add-on is its tilt screen. So you can just tilt the screen like this and you can do some waist level shooting, which many people love. Secondly, the price. This camera is pretty cheap even after the price hike. And the best thing are the lenses, because micro four thirds lenses are pretty cheap. You can actually get a really good lens for only 400 euros, the Olympus 12 to 40mm f2.8 Pro. This is probably the best lens I've ever used, I'm gonna be honest. I've never used a better lens ever before, or after even. Right now I'm using a Lumix S1 and I'm using full frame lenses all the time from Sigma and Panasonic, and I gotta say, they're good as well, but not as good as the Olympus one. If you compare micro four thirds lenses to full frame lenses, you're going to pay probably a third, maybe even a fourth of the price of a full frame lens that is comparable. So the price point makes this camera really good for beginners or in general photographers who do not want to spend their life savings on photography, which is totally understandable. Lastly, the features. The E-M1 has pretty much every feature that your average photographer needs, from 5-axis image stabilization to a really good EVF and even customizability. This camera has so many buttons and you can customize almost every single one of them, which is a great plus in my opinion. And of course, this camera has much more features than I just said. Basically, if you can think of it, this camera has it. And if it doesn't, the E-M1 Mark II has it. So far, I've only talked about specs, but now I'd also like to show you some images that I've taken with the camera over the past 4 years. Now, I've got good news and bad news. The bad news, noise and ISO performance. This camera does not perform very well in low light, which is probably because of the micro four thirds sensor, but also because it's pretty old. And I would say the base ISO is also pretty high at 200, and it does create a lot of noise. So if you're planning on doing commercial photography or product photography, this camera is not for you. But I guess you're not in the market for this one anyway. For everything else, it's totally fine. If you're doing some artsy portraits or street photography, the noise, you won't even notice it. It's totally fine. Now the good news, that's all of the negatives. There's really nothing bad about this camera other than those things I've said. The only thing that I do not like about it is the fact that the batteries are pretty dang snug in this thing. So as you can see, it's really hard to get them out, and if they're swelling, which they will by the way, because they are pretty old, you won't get them out of the camera, which is pretty unfortunate, but just be careful. If you push in the battery and it doesn't go in, don't put it in, because you won't get it out, and then your camera is pretty much unusable. As you can see, I really love this camera. It has never let me down so far, and it was in fact my first professional camera ever. It really taught me photography, and I'm very glad that I chose it back then. Alright, but would I recommend this camera for 400 euros now that its price has increased? I would say maybe. If it seems to fit your needs, then definitely. Go ahead, buy the camera, you will not regret it. But if you have a bit patience, you can wait a few weeks, maybe days, you will definitely be able to find a good deal on it and pay something around the 200 to 300 euro mark, which is a really good price for this camera in my opinion.